something has occurred to me just as a matter of human nature to talk about, which is this kind of tendency of ours to set the appearance of, instead of actually acknowledging and expressing our true state of feelings and true state of experiences in any given situation. We have this tendency to instead choose to relate in a false, inaccurate, or contrived way as a means to maybe avoid pain, as a means to be accepted, to promote an agenda, or to control a situation, right? We'll have this tendency to put on a good face or put on some sort of a defensive posture or defensive behavior, when in fact the inside of us might really, really feel sad and vulnerable. And it's an interesting phenomena, right? That we do this, and it's all based on the ego. The ego says the feelings that you have right now, the experience that you're having right now, is not correct or it's not appropriate, right? So let's contrive through the mechanisms of the mind to think up in relation to the situation something that's false, but for whatever reason seems more appropriate at the given time. And that is the mechanism of the false self. It's trying to deny the reality of our truth at any given time in order to promote our sense of belief on what should be, what must be, what has to be, what can be, what could be. And we're we're pulling ourselves, in doing so, we're pulling ourselves out of the present moment. We're pulling ourselves out of the majesty of our unique and divine true experience. And I think what is interesting is that does tend to be a bit of a especially if we practice that on a regular basis, it tends to be a bit of a knee-jerk reaction, right? And that is also a result of just cultural programming, right? You get to school, there are certain behaviors you do when you're in school, and there are certain behaviors that are not acceptable in school. Same with the workplace, same with certain relationships, right? So when we find ourselves in the experience of a feeling or an emotion or an experience that is considered unacceptable in a certain paradigm, we seek to change it. And then as a result, we're stuffing down the reality of our experience, and we are adding to whatever block or denial or anything like that that just is already, building up within the system. And I think the biggest part of this that is toxic to the system and toxic to the awakening reality of divine humanity is that this behavior breeds shame. We breed shame to deny our own true feelings at the deepest core of our being. What I am feeling and what I am thinking and what I'm experiencing is for some reason not right, not okay. And so that creates an internal experience of shame. And so with the contrived expression comes this deep hovering essence of shame associated with it. Right? Our authenticity needs to be experienced. It needs to be expressed when we are endeavoring toward the awakening process. And this is where the bravery starts to come in. This is why we're working on the third chakra today, is because, especially if it's been so deeply programmed into your experience, it requires the recruitment of a lot of courage to kind of say, no, this is actually what I'm feeling and experiencing, and I'm going to try my best to find a way under the dimensions of the reality of the experience to fully express it, right? Because if you're feeling profound grief, it may not be appropriate in some way, shape, or form to express it in the way that you're immediately feeling it in the surroundings that you're in. Maybe you're around a bunch of third graders, right? And you're feeling profound grief, and to fall down onto the ground into a weeping expression might be really challenging for the surroundings, right? Especially if you're a teacher or something like that in that context. So how can you hold space for yourself to be intimate with your real and true feelings in the understanding of the situation that you're currently in. And I think that is where a lot of mastery and discernment comes in, which is I'm not going to deny what's coming up for me, but how can I hold space for it? How can I express it in a way that's positive and productive right now? And so I think really harnessing the strength of the courage of the third chakra, and then also, right, moving that energy up into the fifth chakra. It's through the fifth chakra that we not only express it, but also have an understanding and a wisdom and a discernment on the manner of the expression. Yes? So let's start with Sufi circles. And, we're going to get some